You guys, today's such a good day, isn't it? I don't know, the weather not so nice, but I'm feeling good. I went to the gym, I had dinner, and dinner was really good today at the dining hall. And then now I'm here filming this video because I thought, why not spread this good energy to you guys? I hope you guys are having a good day as well, and if not, that's okay. We all have those down days as well. Anyway, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the rapping category. I realized that I actually never made a full video about the rapping category, so here it is. What inspired me to make this video is obviously you guys who are trying to go for the rapping category, although it's like a small number of people doing it, so I'm sure like not a lot of people are watching this video, but still. But also, just, you know, the fact that everyone chooses Super Bass by Nicki Minaj when it comes to just rapping. Not just like for an audition, but just for fun. That really inspired me to make this video, to talk about song choices when it comes to the rapping category, how to execute it, and how to stand out to the judges. I'm going to be going over that, all of it, in this video. So off the top of my head, two K-pop idols come to mind when I say Super Bass by Nicki Minaj. The first one is Julie from Kiss of Life, and also Daisy, who is an ex-Momoland member. Both of them auditioned with this song and successfully got into the audition, and like got into the company, and eventually became idols, of course. And so how did they like make this work? Well, firstly, the reason why is because, you know, they had that energy and the flow. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the video, which I think is very important for the rapping category. In fact, it's like ultimately key, I would say. But also they were doing this rap in English and executed this well. And so that kind of leads me to the next segment of this video, which is like, what language should you pick for your K-pop audition? The most ideal would be Korean or English, and this is actually different from singing, where the most ideal would be Korean. For raps, a lot of them are in English, so rapping in English is a huge advantage when it comes to auditioning for K-pop. So both Julie and Daisy spoke English fluently at the time of auditioning, and they used an English-based song to show that off to the judges. Of course, they did know a bit of Korean because they are ethnically Korean as well, so keep that in mind. Now, would I personally recommend Super Bass? Not necessarily. If you can really execute it well and think that's like the ultimate song that belongs to your voice, then go for it. But keep in mind that you really have to do it perfectly because it's a super well-known song and tons of people are auditioning with it. So the judges will know if you make a mistake or you do something that they don't like in some kind of way. Keep that in mind. That's honestly goes for any category when you are choosing an overused song. That's like a precaution that you just have to simply take. However, it is a good, you know, it is a good rap song because you've got flow, speed, all of those elements into that specific part of the song. I'm sure you guys know which song or which part of the song that is. Also, I do acknowledge that it's very difficult, and even more difficult to find a song that has a really good rap part that's also like substantial enough for an audition. Of course, a lot of songs have really good rap parts, but if they're like 20 seconds long, that's probably not enough to show your rapping, especially because it's so fast and it really just goes by quickly. So I usually recommend somewhere between 30 to 45 seconds. That would be like the most ideal length for your rap audition. So searching for an underrated song that has that time, you know, range, and also is good for showing off all of these different techniques is going to be difficult. So if you do end up choosing an overused song like this, it wouldn't really be too much of a worry if you can execute it well. So I mentioned techniques before, like flow, so let's just talk about those, what you need for your rapping category to really stand out to the judges and show them that you're actually good at rapping. So the first one mentioned before is your flow. So what is a flow? The easiest way to describe it is how you transition from one word to the next. How that transition sounds, how smooth it is, and just making sure that it doesn't sound like word, and like you're talking. I feel like that's the biggest mistake when it comes to rapping, for beginners especially. A lot of it sounds like talking and it's just not very interesting because it sounds like you're reading off of a script, and that's not what rapping should be. If you have proper flow, then you shouldn't really be struggling with sounding like you're reading off of a script. I would just really look for some good inspiration from strong rappers out in K-pop. One example of that would be Chun So-yeon. She really delivers her lyrics very well, and one big part of that is through flow, really. And for an audition, let's say you're doing an in-person audition, you most likely will not have a beat behind you. So another worry of yours should be making sure that the song sounds right and not really off-putting, even without the instrumentals, because there are some sections of the song where it's going to be mainly instrumental based and you're not really going to have a say in that in terms of the rap and filling up that space. So make a I don't know, make a solution as to how you can fill that up, and maybe you can add some other elements to it so it doesn't sound empty without the instrumentals. If you're recording an audition video, a lot of the questions that I get is like, should I include a beat behind because it is a rap and I'll make it like quiet and whatever. And honestly, I wouldn't say no. You know, if you want to do it, go for it, but make sure it's very quiet and doesn't overpower your volume, because that would be very, very bad. Obviously, the judges want to hear your rapping and not the beat entirely covering it, of course. The next technique that we'll be talking about is your enunciation and your pronunciation. Now, that really doesn't have much to do with how fluent you are. Of course, like if you're fluent in English and you're doing a rap in English, it's going to give you an advantage compared to someone who does not speak English. However, even the most perfectly fluent people can have terrible pronunciation and enunciation just because they're trying to overcompensate their flow and their style over their pronunciation. So it sounds very like mushy. I don't know, it's like hard to make out when you are actually rapping, and of course that goes for singing as well. I'm sure you guys know like Ariana Grande's like cursive singing, or other artists like that, like Tate McRae for example. Of course that's like for the singing side, but for the rapping, the same thing can occur when you're trying to sound a little bit too cool and then you can't understand what the lyrics are. That's not the whole point of it. You're trying to deliver the message of the song, deliver the lyrics, and if you can't enunciate that properly, the judges will definitely see through that. Even if they aren't fluent in English themselves, they'll be able to hear like the cursive rapping. Okay, and then the very last element that we'll be talking about is your rhythm. I'm sure this is pretty obvious. A lot of people actually struggle with rhythm when it comes to rapping. Sometimes it just sounds a little bit too rushed. I think that's like a pretty common, you know, mistake with beginners, especially if you don't have a beat behind you and you get nervous in an in-person audition. You start to rush. I mean, it's happened to me too in my audition experience video, so it's probably happened to you too. Like, it's a common mistake, and even if you're not a beginner, it can still happen. Anyway, you have to really practice your rhythm with a metronome. It's annoying, I know, it's really annoying, but find the BPM, the beats per minute of your song choice, and then turn that on. It's gonna go da, 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 or da, 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 da. It depends on the metronome that you've got, and then you just have to beat, you know, and then rap to it, you know what I mean? And make it really sound natural. Even if it's like a really dull metronome behind you, you still have to make it sound interesting, and that's going to be the hard part, because in your actual audition you're not going to have that metronome and you can't rely on that anymore. So obviously practice it without the metronome as well. But that's the best tip I can give you when you are considering the rapping category and you struggle with rhythm. Alright, so those are all of the things that I wanted to mention today. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future from me, and I think that's everything. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, your morning, your evening as well. Bye!